The ocean was never truly silent at midnight. Even on the calmest sun, the waves whispered secrets to the shore, carrying stories from the deep where humans dared not venture. But on this particular night, the sea seemed restless. The wind howled through the cliffs, and dark clouds drifted across the moon as if the sky itself was trying to hide something. Inside a small cottage overlooking the water, a young woman sat away by the window. To anyone passing by, she looked ordinary. Just another woman living alone on the edge of a forgotten coastline. But appearances could be deceiving. Beneath her calm exterior was a secret powerful enough to start a war between kingdoms. She was a mermaid, and for years, she had been hiding from the world. The woman glanced towards the sea, her silver blue eyes reflecting the moonlight dancing on the waves. Something felt wrong tonight. She couldn't explain it, but an uneasy feeling had settled deep inside her chest. She had learned long ago to trust her instincts. Those instincts had kept her alive. Ever since she escaped her homeland years earlier, she had lived in constant caution. She never stayed in one place for too long. She never revealed her true nature. Most importantly, she never allowed anyone to discover her scent. Among supernatural creatures, scent was everything. It revealed identity, power, lineage, and sometimes even destiny. Fortunately, she possessed a rare gift unlike any other mermaid in existence. She could hide hers. No wolf, witch, vampire, or hunter could track her. No supernatural ruler could find her. At least, that was what she had always believed. Then came the knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks echoed through the cottage. Knock, knock, knock. The sound froze her in place. Her heart immediately began racing. Nobody visited her. Nobody even knew she lived there. For several seconds, she remained perfectly still, hoping she had imagined it. Then the knock came again. Louder this time. More certain, as though whoever stood outside already knew she was awake. A chill ran down her spine. Carefully, she rose from her chair. The wooden floor creaked beneath her feet. Outside, the storm was growing stronger. The sea crashed violently against the rocks below the cliff. Every instinct screamed at her not to open the door, yet somehow, she found herself moving toward it, step by step, breath by breath, until she stood only inches away, silence. Then a deep male voice came from the other side, a voice powerful enough to make the air itself seem heavier. Open the door. The woman's eyes widened. She had never heard that voice before, yet something about it felt terrifyingly familiar, as if she had known it her entire life. Slowly, she reached for the handle. Her hand trembled. The moment the door opened, the world seemed to stop. Standing beneath the moonlight was a man unlike anyone she had ever seen. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in black. His dark hair moved with the wind while his golden eyes seemed to glow against the night. The power radiating from him was impossible to ignore. He wasn't merely a wolf. He was an alpha. No, something far greater than that. The realization struck her like lightning. Her blood ran cold. Because every supernatural creature in the world knew his face, the ruler of the werewolf kingdoms, the strongest alpha in existence, the king feared by enemies and respected by allies, the Alpha King himself. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The storm raged around them. The ocean roared below, but all she could focus on was the impossible reality standing before her. This couldn't be happening. It made no sense. She had hidden her scent. She had erased every trace of herself. No one should have been able to find her. No one. Yet somehow he had. The Alpha King's golden eyes never left hers. There was something strange in his gaze, not anger, not hatred, not even triumph. It looked almost like relief, like a man who had spent years searching for something he feared he would never find. Finally, he spoke. His voice was quiet, dangerously quiet. "I've been looking for you." The woman's heart nearly stopped. 1,000 questions raced through her mind. Who was he? How had he found her? Why had he been searching for her? And why was he looking at her as if she were the most important person in the world? She took a step backward. Fear flashed through her eyes. "I think you have the wrong person." The Alpha King's expression didn't change. "No." His gaze softened slightly. "I finally found the right one." The woman felt her breath catch. Something about those words sent a strange warmth through her chest despite her fear. But before she could respond, the Alpha King revealed the truth that shattered everything she thought she knew. A truth that would change her life forever. "You can hide your scent from every creature alive," he said. His golden eyes locked onto hers. "But you could never hide it from your mate." The world stopped. Mate? The word echoed inside her mind. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. She was a mermaid. He was the Alpha King. Their worlds were never supposed to collide. Yet, standing there beneath the midnight sky, she saw certainty in his eyes. A certainty that terrified her more than any enemy ever could. Because deep down, in a place she had tried to ignore for years, part of her already knew he was telling the truth. And that truth was about to ignite a chain of events that would shake both the sea and the land. A love story written by destiny itself, one that neither of them could escape. Before we continue, imagine this happened to you. After spending years hiding from the world, the most powerful ruler alive suddenly appears at your door and claims you're his fated soulmate. Would you run, or would you hear him out? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable fantasy romance stories. Now, let's discover who this mysterious mermaid really is, and why fate worked so hard to keep her hidden. The Alpha King's words hung in the air long after he spoke them. You could never hide your scent from your mate. The mermaid stared at him in disbelief. Mate. The word felt foreign, dangerous, impossible. For years, she had built her entire life around one goal, never being found. And now, the most powerful alpha in the world stood on her doorstep, claiming destiny had brought him to her. Every instinct told her to slam the door and disappear before sunrise. But before she could move, memories she had spent years trying to bury began flooding back. Because the truth was, she had not always lived alone. There was a time when she had a family, a home, a kingdom beneath the sea, and a future she believed would last forever. Long before she became the mysterious woman hiding on the coastline, she had been known by another name. A name spoken with pride throughout the ocean realm. She was the daughter of one of the oldest mermaid bloodlines in existence. Her people lived far beneath the waves in a breathtaking underwater kingdom carved from crystal reefs, glowing pearls, and ancient coral palaces. The ocean itself seemed to bend around their city. Schools of colorful fish danced through the streets. Sea turtles drifted peacefully between towering coral structures. At night, bioluminescent plants illuminated the kingdom with shades of blue and silver, making it appear as though the stars had fallen into the sea. It was beautiful, magical, and completely hidden from the human world. As a child, she loved exploring every corner of it. She spent her days racing through underwater caves, collecting rare seashells, and listening to stories from the elders. Everyone adored her. Not because she was a noble's daughter, but because she possessed a kindness that seemed to draw others toward her. Yet, there was something else that made her different. Something that even her parents struggled to understand. From the day she was born, strange things happened around her. Creatures reacted to her differently. Ancient sea spirits watched her with unusual interest. And whenever powerful supernatural beings came near the ocean, they seemed unable to sense her presence. At first, nobody understood why. Then one day, the kingdom's oldest oracle revealed the truth. The young mermaid possessed an ability that appeared only once in several centuries. She could conceal her scent completely, not weaken it, not disguise it, erase it. To supernatural creatures, scent was often more important than sight. It revealed identity, strength, emotions, and bloodline, but her scent simply vanished whenever she wished. It was as though nature itself had hidden her existence. The gift amazed everyone. Many believed it would make her one of the safest mermaids alive. Others believed it was a sign of something much greater. The oracle belonged to the second group. The elderly woman had studied ancient prophecies for decades, and after examining the young mermaid, she delivered a warning that terrified the royal families of the sea. This child is protected by destiny. One day, kingdoms will search for her. Some will seek to control her, others will seek to destroy her, and one ruler will cross impossible distances to find her. At the time, nobody fully understood those words. Years passed. Life continued. The prophecy became little more than an old story, until everything changed. The war began suddenly. For generations, tensions had existed between the sea clans and several supernatural kingdoms on land. Most conflicts remained small and far away, but then powerful leaders emerged on both sides. Ambition replaced diplomacy, fear replaced trust, and eventually, peace shattered. Battles spread across coastlines, ancient alliances collapsed, rumors of betrayal traveled through every kingdom. The ocean grew darker with each passing year. The mermaid was still young when tragedy finally reached her home. She remembered that night more clearly than anything else: the panic, the screams, the desperate orders being shouted throughout the city. She remembered soldiers rushing through coral streets, parents grabbing their children, warriors preparing for battle. And most of all, she remembered the fear in her father's eyes. It was the first time she had ever seen him afraid. He took her hands and knelt in front of her. "Listen to me carefully," he said. "No matter what happens tonight, you must survive." Tears filled her eyes. "What about you?" Her father smiled sadly, a smile she would never forget. "Your mother and I will always find a way back to you." But they didn't. Before sunrise, everything was gone. Her home, her family, her kingdom, destroyed by forces she barely understood. The exact truth of what happened that night remained hidden for years. All she knew was that her parents never returned, and suddenly she was alone. The surviving members of her clan helped her escape before enemy forces could reach her. Using secret underwater routes known only to a few elders, they guided her far from the conflict, far from the ocean kingdoms, far from anyone who might recognize her. Eventually, she reached the human world. That was where her second life began. A life built on silence, a life built on hiding. She learned to walk among humans, learned their customs, their language, their routines. She moved constantly, never staying in one town for too long, never becoming too attached, never allowing herself to be truly known. Years passed, then more years. The frightened girl from the sea slowly became the woman she was now. Yet despite everything she had lost, she never stopped wondering about the prophecy. Why had destiny hidden her? What made her so important? Why had she been born with such a rare ability? Questions followed her everywhere, but answers never came until tonight. until the Alpha King appeared, standing in the doorway of her cottage, looking at her as though he had spent half his life searching for her. For the first time in years, she felt the walls around her carefully protected life beginning to crack. And what frightened her most wasn't the Alpha King himself. It was the possibility that the prophecy had been right all along, that she had never truly escaped her destiny, that every road she had taken, every place she had hidden, every choice she had made, had been leading toward this moment, toward the man standing before her, toward a future neither of them yet understood. And somewhere far beyond the horizon, hidden beneath the ocean waves, ancient enemies were already beginning to learn that the lost mermaid had finally been found. The mermaid stood frozen in the doorway, her mind struggling to process everything that had happened. The Alpha King, a fated mate, an ancient prophecy. None of it made sense, yet the look in his eyes unsettled her more than anything else. It wasn't the gaze of a conqueror who had finally captured his prey. It wasn't even the confidence of a king, accustomed to getting whatever he wanted. It was something far more dangerous: recognition, as if he had known her long before they ever met, as if finding her had not been a matter of chance, but the ending of a journey that had consumed years of his life. For several moments, neither of them spoke. The wind howled around the cottage, carrying the scent of rain and salt water. Finally, she broke the silence. "Who are you really?" A faint smile crossed his face. Not because of the question, but because she had finally spoken. "I am exactly who you think I am." His golden eyes remained fixed on hers. The Alpha King. She swallowed hard. Every supernatural creature knew the stories. His name was whispered throughout kingdoms, with equal parts admiration and fear. He was the ruler who united rival wolf packs that had spent centuries at war, the warrior who had never lost a battle. The king powerful enough to make enemies surrender without drawing his sword. Some called him a hero. Others called him a monster. Most agreed on one thing: no one stood against him for long, which made the next question impossible to ignore. "If you're the Alpha King," she said carefully, "why have you been searching for me?" The expression on his face changed instantly. The confidence disappeared. The authority vanished. For the first time since arriving, he looked almost vulnerable, as though she had touched a wound he carried deep inside. The Alpha King glanced toward the ocean, and for a moment he seemed lost in memories. Then he spoke. "It started when I was 17. The mermaid frowned. He was older now, much older, which meant whatever he was about to reveal had been haunting him for years. When I was 17, he continued, I began having dreams." She crossed her arms. "Dreams, they weren't ordinary dreams." His voice grew quieter. "At first, I saw only the ocean, the same ocean every night. Moonlight on black water, waves crashing against cliffs, a voice calling my name. The mermaid felt a strange chill crawl down her spine. Without realizing it, she took a step closer." The Alpha King continued. "Months passed. The dreams became clearer. I started seeing someone standing in the water, a woman. His gaze found hers again, and every year I saw more." The mermaid's heart skipped a beat. Something about his words felt disturbingly familiar. Eventually, I could see her face. The Alpha King stared at her. "It was you." Silence filled the room. The storm outside seemed to fade into the background. She wanted to dismiss it, wanted to tell him he was mistaken. Yet she couldn't, because somewhere deep inside, she remembered dreams of her own. Dreams she had never spoken about. Dreams of golden eyes watching her from distant shores. Dreams of a mysterious wolf standing beneath the moon. Dreams she had always assumed meant nothing. Suddenly, they felt very real. The Alpha King continued. I spent years trying to forget. I convinced myself they were only dreams, but they never stopped. His jaw tightened, and every year they became stronger. Eventually, he sought answers. He traveled across kingdoms, consulted oracles, visited witches and ancient scholars. Anyone who might explain why the same woman kept appearing in his dreams. Most couldn't help him. Some were too afraid to speak. But a few gave him the same warning, a warning that followed him for years. The Alpha King's eyes darkened. They all told me the same thing. The mermaid held her breath. What did they say? His answer came immediately. The girl from the sea will either save your kingdom or destroy it. The room fell silent. Even the waves outside seemed distant. The words struck her like lightning because she had heard them before. Not those exact words, but something close. A fragment of the prophecy spoken by the oracle in her childhood. For the first time, genuine fear appeared in her eyes. The Alpha King noticed. You've heard it before. It wasn't a question. She didn't answer. She couldn't. Because admitting it would mean accepting that their stories had been connected long before tonight. The Alpha King took a slow breath. There was more. The mermaid looked up. The seers said my fate and yours were intertwined. They said neither of us could escape what was coming. They said one day I would find you. His voice lowered, and when I did, the future of both our worlds would change forever. The mermaid shook her head. No. She backed away from him. No, that's impossible. I don't want anything to do with kingdoms. I don't want prophecies. I don't want destiny. Her voice cracked slightly. I just want a normal life. The Alpha King watched her quietly. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he said something she never expected. So do I. She stared at him. The answer caught her completely off guard. People often imagined powerful rulers lived perfect lives. But standing before her now wasn't a king. It was a man carrying burdens heavier than any crown. For years, he had fought wars, protected his people, made impossible decisions, watched friends die, watched enemies multiply, and through it all, one mystery remained unsolved. Her, the woman he couldn't find. The woman destiny refused to let him forget. The woman who appeared in every dream. The woman whose absence haunted him more than any battlefield ever could. You searched for me all these years? The Alpha King nodded. Every year, every kingdom, every lead. His eyes softened, every dead end. Something shifted inside her chest, a feeling she couldn't explain. No one had ever searched for her before. Everyone else in her life had either left or been taken away. Yet somehow this man had spent years trying to find her, not to hurt her, not to control her, simply to find her. But before she could process the thought, another question surfaced, one she had been avoiding. If I can hide my scent, she hesitated. If I can disappear from every supernatural creature, her eyes narrowed. How did you find me? For the first time that night, the Alpha King smiled. Not the smile of a ruler, not the smile of a warrior, the smile of a man finally sharing a secret. 3 weeks ago, I stopped searching. The answer surprised her. What? I gave up. The mermaid blinked. You gave up? He nodded. I was tired. I had spent years chasing shadows, so I returned home. A strange sadness appeared in his eyes, and that night, I had a dream. The room seemed to grow still. In the dream, you were standing on these cliffs. The moon was full, the sea was calm, and you were crying. The mermaid's blood ran cold, because 3 weeks ago, on the night of the full moon, she had stood on those exact cliffs, and she had cried. For her parents, for her lost home, for everything she thought she'd never have again. The Alpha King took one step closer. That's when I knew where you were. The mermaid couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Because for the first time, she realized something terrifying. She had spent years hiding her scent, hiding her identity, hiding her existence. But none of those things mattered. Because destiny had found another way. And now that he had finally found her, the Alpha King had no intention of letting her disappear again. Yet neither of them noticed the shadow watching from the darkness beyond the cliffs. A figure hidden among the rocks below, a spy, one who had witnessed everything. And before sunrise, news of the lost mermaid's discovery would begin spreading across both the sea and wolf kingdoms, bringing enemies far more dangerous than either of them could imagine. The news spread faster than either of them expected. Far beyond the cliffs and crashing waves, whispers began moving through kingdoms, both above and below the sea. The lost mermaid had been found, and the Alpha King had found her. For some, it was a miracle. For others, it was the beginning of a disaster. But none of that mattered to the mermaid in the days that followed. Because her greatest battle wasn't against enemies or prophecies. It was against her own heart. The morning after the Alpha King's arrival, she expected him to leave. Surely a ruler responsible for an entire kingdom had more important things to do than remain on a remote coastline. Yet when she looked out her window at sunrise, she spotted him standing near the shore, watching the ocean, waiting. The next day, he was still there, and the day after that. At first, she found it irritating, then confusing, eventually impossible to ignore. The Alpha King never pressured her, never demanded answers, never forced conversations she wasn't ready to have. Instead, he simply stayed. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they sat in silence. Sometimes he walked along the beach while she followed at a safe distance. For a man feared by countless enemies, his patience was surprising. Weeks passed. Slowly, the walls she had spent years building began to crack. One evening, they sat together on a rocky cliff overlooking the sea. The sky was painted with shades of orange and gold as the sun disappeared beneath the horizon. For several minutes, neither spoke. Then she finally asked the question that had been bothering her. "Why aren't you leaving?" The Alpha King smiled. "You want the honest answer?" "No." "Then I'll give it anyway." She rolled her eyes, making him laugh. The sound caught her off guard. It was warm, genuine. Nothing like the ruthless king described in stories. "I've spent years searching for you," he said. "I'm not in a hurry to leave now that I've found you." The words sent an unfamiliar warmth through her chest. She immediately looked away, pretending not to care. But the truth was becoming harder to deny. The more time she spent with him, the less he resembled the terrifying ruler she expected. She saw things nobody else ever did. The way he quietly fed injured animals he found along the shore. The way he listened when others spoke. The way he carried the weight of responsibility even when nobody was watching. For the first time, she saw the man beneath the crown. And that frightened her, because it would have been easier if he were cruel, easier if he were arrogant, easier if she hated him. Instead, she found herself looking forward to every conversation, every walk, every stolen moment. One night, unable to sleep, she slipped outside and walked toward the beach. The moon hung high above the ocean, illuminating the waves with silver light. She wasn't surprised to find him there, standing ankle-deep in the water, looking toward the horizon. "Do Alpha Kings never sleep?" she asked. He glanced over his shoulder. "Only when mermaids stop sneaking out at midnight." She laughed despite herself. The sound echoed across the shoreline. For a moment, both of them simply stood there, listening to the waves, feeling the cool ocean breeze. Then something unexpected happened. The Alpha King removed his boots and stepped farther into the water. "What are you doing?" he shrugged. "I've never swum in the ocean." The mermaid stared at him. "You're joking." "No. You're the ruler of an entire kingdom and you've never gone swimming. Very funny." She couldn't stop laughing. The Alpha King shook his head. "Fine." He pointed toward the sea. "Then teach me." That night became the first of many. Far from kingdoms and responsibilities, they shared moments neither would ever forget. She taught him how to float beneath the stars, how to identify constellations reflected on the ocean's surface, how to listen to the rhythm of the tides. In return, he told her stories. Stories of his childhood, stories of victories and failures, stories he had never shared with anyone else. For the first time in years, both of them felt free. Not a king, not a lost princess, just two souls discovering each other beneath the moonlight. As the weeks passed, their connection deepened. The attraction between them became impossible to ignore. Every accidental touch lingered longer. Every glance carried unspoken meaning. Every goodbye felt harder than the last. Yet neither dared speak the truth aloud, because they both understood the risks. A relationship between them wasn't merely complicated. It was forbidden. She belonged to the sea. He belonged to the wolves. Their worlds had spent generations viewing one another with suspicion and distrust. Many would never accept them. Others would actively try to tear them apart. Still, their hearts continued moving toward each other, no matter how hard they resisted. Then came the night everything changed. The moon was full, the ocean calm. Together they sat atop the cliffs overlooking the endless water. For once, neither spoke. Words seemed unnecessary. The silence between them felt comfortable, natural. The Alpha King glanced toward her. She was beautiful beneath the moonlight, more beautiful than any dream had ever captured. And in that moment, he realized something. He was no longer searching because of prophecy or destiny or fate. He had fallen in love, completely, irrevocably. And judging by the look in her eyes, she felt the same. Slowly, he reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. Instead, their fingers intertwined. The simple gesture sent electricity through both of them. For several heartbeats, the world disappeared. No kingdoms, no enemies, no prophecies. Only the two of them. The Alpha King gently lifted her hand, his golden eyes locked onto hers, and for the first time, she saw not a ruler, but a man in love. Just as he leaned closer, a distant horn echoed across the ocean. Both of them froze. The sound came again, louder this time. Ancient, warning. The mermaid's face immediately paled. She knew that horn. Every member of her people did. It was a royal summons. A call used only during emergencies, which meant one thing. Someone from the Sea Kingdom had found her, and they weren't coming to welcome her home. They were coming to take her away. At this point in the story, what would you do? Would you follow your heart and choose love, even if it meant turning your back on your people? Or would you choose duty and leave behind the person you love most? Let me know your choice in the comments, and if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe, because things are about to become much more dangerous for our mermaid and her Alpha King. The haunting sound of the royal horn echoed across the ocean long after it faded from the night air. The mermaid stood frozen at the edge of the cliff. Fear gripped her chest, not because she didn't know what the horn meant, but because she knew exactly what it meant. Someone from the Sea Kingdom had found her. After years of hiding, after years of believing she had escaped her past, the past had finally come looking for her. The Alpha King immediately noticed the change in her expression. "What is it?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes remained fixed on the dark horizon. "It means they're here." His face hardened. "Who?" "My people." The words barely escaped her lips. Before either of them could say another word, the ocean below began to glow. Blue lights emerged beneath the surface. At first, there were only a few. Then dozens, then hundreds. The water itself seemed to come alive. Massive waves rose unnaturally high before slowly parting in the center. The sight was breathtaking and terrifying. From the opening emerged an army. Hundreds of mermaid warriors surfaced from the depths. Their armor shimmered beneath the moonlight. Their weapons glowed with ancient magic. At their center stood a woman wearing a crown forged from white coral and black pearls. The moment the mermaid saw her, her heart sank. She knew exactly who it was: Queen Seraphina, the ruler of the Sea Kingdom, and one of the most feared leaders beneath the ocean. The queen's cold eyes locked onto the mermaid immediately. "There you are." The words carried across the water like a blade. The Alpha King instinctively stepped in front of his mate. The queen's gaze shifted toward him. Disgust immediately appeared on her face. "So the rumors are true?" Her voice dripped with contempt. "The lost daughter has chosen a wolf." The tension in the air became unbearable. Neither side moved. Neither side blinked. One wrong decision could trigger a massacre. The mermaid slowly stepped forward. "Why are you here?" Queen Seraphina's expression darkened. "To bring you home." "I don't have a home." The queen's eyes flashed. "You do, no." The mermaid shook her head. "My home died years ago." Pain crossed her face. "My family died years ago." For a brief moment, something strange appeared in the queen's eyes, guilt, but it vanished almost instantly. "You don't know the truth." The mermaid frowned. "What truth?" The queen hesitated, and that hesitation changed everything. Because before she could answer, another voice echoed across the battlefield. A voice filled with rage. "You still haven't told her, have you?" Everyone turned. A second group emerged from the darkness. Not mermaids, not wolves. Something else. A powerful sea clan long thought extinct. At their head stood a scarred warrior whose eyes burned with hatred. The moment Queen Seraphina saw him, her face turned pale. "Impossible." The warrior laughed bitterly. "That's what you said 20 years ago." The mermaid looked between them. Confusion flooded her mind. She had no idea what was happening, but she knew one thing. Everyone else seemed to know a secret she didn't. The warrior pointed directly at the queen. "Tell her." Silence. "Tell her who really killed her parents." The world stopped. The mermaid's heart nearly stopped beating. Her parents. Every thought in her mind vanished. "What did you say?" The warrior stepped forward. His voice thundered across the cliffs. "The war that destroyed your family wasn't an accident." The mermaid felt dizzy. "No, it wasn't a battle. No, it was a betrayal." The queen closed her eyes, as though she already knew what was coming. The warrior's gaze shifted toward the Alpha King, then back to the mermaid. "The attack that killed your parents was ordered by a king." The mermaid could barely breathe. A king who feared a prophecy. The Alpha King's expression changed instantly, because suddenly he understood where this was going, and he didn't want to hear the answer. The warrior delivered the final blow. It was ordered by the Alpha King's father. Silence. Absolute silence. The words echoed through the night. The mermaid stared at the Alpha King, the man she loved, the man she trusted, the man she had begun imagining a future with. Her entire world shattered. The Alpha King looked just as shocked, because this was the first time he had heard it too. "No." He shook his head. That's impossible. The warrior laughed. Ask your royal advisors. Ask the elders. Ask anyone who survived. The Alpha King's fists clenched. Because deep down, he recognized the possibility. His father had ruled during the height of the conflict. A ruthless king obsessed with power. A ruler willing to do terrible things to secure his kingdom's future. The mermaid's eyes filled with tears. Not because she believed it completely, but because she suddenly didn't know what to believe. The Alpha King stepped toward her. You have to listen to me. She immediately backed away. The movement cut deeper than any blade. Did you know? No. His answer came instantly. I swear to you. Her voice trembled. Was your father involved? The Alpha King couldn't answer, not because he was guilty, but because he honestly didn't know. And that uncertainty was enough. The silence between them became unbearable. The mermaid's heart broke. For the first time since meeting him, doubt entered her mind. Maybe destiny had brought them together. But what if destiny had also made them enemies? Before either could speak again, Queen Seraphina finally revealed the truth she had hidden for years. The prophecy wasn't about war. Everyone turned toward her. The queen looked directly at the mermaid. The prophecy said you would unite the sea and the wolves. The mermaid blinked. What? The queen continued. Veni feared that future. The Sea Kingdom feared losing its independence. The Wolf Kingdom feared losing its power. So leaders on both sides tried to stop it. The realization hit everyone at once. The war, the betrayal, the deaths. It had all been caused by fear. Fear of a future that hadn't even happened yet. Fear of two people falling in love. The Alpha King looked at the mermaid. Everything suddenly made sense. The dreams, the prophecies, the years of searching, the attacks. Someone had spent decades trying to prevent this exact moment, and now those same forces were moving again. A loud explosion suddenly erupted in the distance. The ground shook violently. Everyone turned toward the coastline. Fire illuminated the horizon. Wolf villages were burning. At the same time, messengers arrived from the sea. Their expressions were filled with panic. The eastern reefs have been attacked. Another messenger appeared moments later. The northern packs are under siege. Confusion spread instantly. Both kingdoms were being attacked simultaneously. The Alpha King's eyes narrowed. This wasn't done by wolves. Queen Seraphina nodded. And it wasn't done by mermaids. The horrible truth became clear. Someone else was behind everything. Someone powerful enough to manipulate both kingdoms. Someone who wanted war. The scarred warrior slowly smiled. A smile that immediately made everyone uneasy. Because suddenly he no longer looked angry. He looked victorious. As though this had been his plan all along. The mermaid felt a chill run down her spine. The Alpha King stepped closer to her. Instinctively protective, even after everything. Even after the accusations. Even after the pain. The warrior's laughter echoed through the night. And as armies prepared for battle around them, the lovers realized something terrifying. The truth about the past had nearly destroyed them. But the war that was coming next threatened to destroy the entire world. And unless they found a way to trust each other again, neither of them would survive what was coming. The war began before sunrise. Across the coastline, flames lit the horizon. Wolf villages burned. Ancient reefs collapsed beneath magical attacks. Panic spread through both kingdoms as soldiers rushed to defend their homes. For the first time in centuries, wolves and mermaids stood on the edge of total destruction, and neither side truly knew who their enemy was. The mysterious attacks continued for days. Every strike was carefully planned. Every battle pushed the two kingdoms closer to blaming each other, exactly as the real enemy intended. Meanwhile, the bond between the mermaid and the Alpha King was hanging by a thread. The revelation about his father had left a wound that neither knew how to heal. Though they stood on the same side, an invisible distance had formed between them. The Alpha King could feel it every time she looked at him. The hesitation, the uncertainty, the fear. And honestly, he couldn't blame her. If his father's actions had truly led to the deaths of her family, then he was carrying a legacy stained with blood. One evening, as preparations for the final battle were underway, the Alpha King found her sitting alone on the cliffs, where they had first begun falling in love. The ocean stretched endlessly before her. The same ocean that had once felt peaceful now seemed filled with sorrow sources. For several, neither spoke. Finally, the Alpha King broke the silence. "I found the records." The mermaid slowly turned toward him. His face looked exhausted, as though he hadn't slept in days. "Records from my father's reign." Pain filled his eyes, and the accusations were true. The mermaid's heart sank. The Alpha King lowered his gaze. "My father ordered the operation that led to the attack." The words felt like a knife twisting between them. He continued. "He believed the prophecy would weaken the Wolf Kingdom. He believed eliminating your bloodline would prevent the future." The mermaid felt tears forming in her eyes, not because she hated him, but because the truth hurt. The Alpha King took a shaky breath. "If you never want to see me again after this war, I will understand." She stared at him, the man who had crossed kingdoms searching for her, the man who had protected her, loved her, believed in her, even when she doubted herself. Slowly, she stepped closer. "You are not your father." The Alpha King looked up. Shock crossed his face. The mermaid gently placed her hand against his. "The people who started this war are gone." Her voice trembled slightly. "But if we allow their hatred to control us now, then they still win." The Alpha King's eyes filled with emotion. For the first time since learning the truth, hope returned, and at that moment they made a choice. Not as rulers, not as heirs to old wounds, but as two people who loved each other. They would end the cycle, no matter the cost. Unfortunately, fate had one final test waiting for them. The true enemy finally revealed himself, the scarred warrior, the man who had manipulated both kingdoms from the shadows. His real name had once been erased from history, an ancient warlord who survived the original conflict decades earlier. While wolves and mermaids blamed one another, he had spent years building an army in secret, feeding hatred, spreading lies, waiting for the perfect moment. Now that moment had arrived. His forces launched a full-scale assault against both kingdoms simultaneously. The final battle erupted near the very coastline where the mermaid and Alpha King first met. The sky darkened with storm clouds. Massive waves crashed against the shore. Magic illuminated the battlefield like lightning. Wolf and warriors charged from the forests. Mermaid soldiers rose from the sea. For the first time in history, the two kingdoms fought together instead of against each other, side by side, united, exactly as the prophecy had foretold. At the center of the chaos stood the Alpha King and the mermaid. Together, they led the charge. For hours, the battle raged, neither side willing to surrender, neither side willing to fall. Then disaster struck. The ancient warlord unleashed a forbidden weapon powered by dark magic. A massive surge of energy erupted across the battlefield. The attack was aimed directly at the mermaid. There was no time to dodge, no time to defend herself. The Alpha King made his choice instantly. He threw himself in front of her. The blast struck him with devastating force. The explosion shook the coastline. The Alpha King's body was thrown across the battlefield. Everything went silent. The mermaid's world shattered. No, she ran toward him, ignoring the battle, ignoring the dangers, ignoring everything except the man lying motionless before her. The Alpha King's golden eyes slowly opened, but she immediately knew something was wrong. The wound was fatal. Even with supernatural healing, he wasn't going to survive. Tears streamed down her face. "Stay with me." The Alpha King smiled weakly. Even now, even in pain, all he cared about was her. "You found me." His voice was barely audible. "And you changed my life." The mermaid broke down completely. Around them, the battle continued. But she couldn't hear it anymore, couldn't see it, couldn't think. She only knew one thing. She couldn't lose him, not after finding him, not after loving him, not after everything they had survived together. Then she remembered the ancient power hidden within her bloodline, a gift spoken of only in legends, the ability to transfer the essence of the ocean itself. But there was a cost, a terrible cost. Using it would save the Alpha King's life, yet it would strip away the greatest part of her own power forever. She wouldn't die, but she would never be the same again. For a brief moment, she hesitated, not because she feared losing her power, but because she knew what it meant. The ocean had always been part of her identity, part of her soul. Then she looked into the Alpha King's eyes, and the choice became easy. She placed her hands against his chest. The sea around them began glowing. Brilliant blue light spread across the battlefield. The waves rose high into the sky. Ancient magic awakened. Every mermaid present fell silent. Every wolf turned to watch. The ocean itself seemed to respond to her sacrifice. Energy flowed from her body into the Alpha King. The process lasted only seconds. Yet it felt like an eternity. When it finally ended, the mermaid collapsed. Exhausted, weak, changed forever. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then, the Alpha King took a breath. His wound began healing. Life returned to his eyes. A collective gasp spread through the battlefield. The impossible had happened. The mermaid had given up her greatest gift to save the man she loved. Inspired by her sacrifice, the united armies launched one final attack. Wolves and mermaids fought together with renewed determination. The ancient warlord was defeated, his army collapsed, and at last the war ended, not with vengeance, but with unity. Months later, peace finally returned. The truth about the past was revealed to both kingdoms. Old lies were exposed. Old wounds slowly began healing. The hatred that had divided sea and land for generations finally began to fade. And at the center of that new future stood the mermaid and her Alpha King. Together, exactly as destiny had intended. A magnificent city was eventually built along the coast. A place where wolves and mermaids could live, trade, and thrive together. A symbol of peace. A symbol of hope. Years later, children would grow up hearing stories about the lost mermaid who sacrificed everything for love and the Alpha King, who crossed kingdoms searching for her. Many believed the stories were exaggerated. Legends often are. But every evening, as the sun set over the ocean, the people of the coastal kingdom could see the truth for themselves. The Alpha King and his queen walking hand in hand along the shoreline, still in love, still inseparable, still proving that the strongest force in the world was never magic, power, or destiny. It was love, a love powerful enough to unite two kingdoms. A love powerful enough to heal generations of hatred. A love powerful enough to change the future forever. What was your favorite moment in this story? Was it the Alpha King's midnight arrival, the moonlit romance by the sea, the shocking betrayal, or the ultimate sacrifice that saved their love? Let me know in the comments below. I read as many comments as possible and would love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoy emotional fantasy romance stories filled with love, destiny, betrayal, and happy endings, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next adventure. Until next time, thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the person meant for you can find you no matter how well you hide.